DEBx, amplifying voices, accelerating change. Help me welcome to the DEBx stage, Joe Visintainer.
Have you ever walked into a room, looked around and thought, I'm better than him, but definitely not better than her? If you think about it, it happens all the time. I remember when I went to a conference for investors and business owners, and as I pulled into the parking lot, all I could see was a sea of amazing cars. Now, I'm not talking BMW and Mercedes. I'm talking Aston Martins and Ferraris. And as I walked in and looked around, I realized everybody else was in suits and ties, and I was in jeans and a polo. I was so uncomfortable. I was this close to leaving. But I checked in anyways and started talking to people who were clearly smarter and more successful than me. The woman I was talking to got her MBA from Harvard Business School. I was not about to mention my poli-sci degree from the U of A. The whole night, all I could see was how I was not rich enough, good-looking enough, or smart enough. I just didn't belong. Have you ever felt like this? Felt less than or inferior, maybe intimidated by others? I can tell you I do every day. Welcome to the pecking order, that part of you that unconsciously compares yourself to others and assigns a rank that runs you without you even realizing it. We all walk around comparing ourselves to everybody else to determine our worth and our rank, and it drives the way we act. We compare our looks, our intelligence, our success, and the list goes on. The worst part is we believe the pecking order to be real, but it's not. And the crazy thing is, everyone else is doing it too. All of us are constantly and chronically comparing ourselves to each other to determine our worth and where we rank. Where do you compare yourself? Is it your looks? Maybe it's your family. Perhaps it's money. What's your thing? If you're honest, you've got one, because I think we all do. When my daughter Emma was young, she raised chickens and had a flock of about 10 that taught us a pretty cool lesson. When we'd introduce a new hen to the flock, all the other hens would fight each other to determine their hierarchy. They would literally peck each other on the head to determine control until one was at the top and one was at the bottom of the pecking order. That's where we get the term pecking order, from chickens that literally peck each other on the head to determine their hierarchy. This is Q-Tip and my daughter Emma. Q-Tip would follow Emma around, come when you called her, climb in her lap to snuggle. She was pretty cute. But Q-Tip lived at the bottom of the pecking order. All the other hens would peck her on the head until she was completely bald, like me. She'd literally hide her head in the corner just to not get pecked and excluded herself from the flock. And when it was time to eat, she would run over, grab some food, and run back. Q-Tip lived in a constant state of fear and rejection. Some of us may identify with Q-Tip. Beat down, excluded, living at the bottom. I know I can relate. I've lived like Q-Tip. I've put myself at the bottom of the pecking order. You see, I grew up with 4 older sisters. Yeah, I was the youngest and the only boy, so I had more than my fair share of lipstick and hair curlers. When I was about 10, my oldest sister Eva made me an offer I couldn't refuse. For 25 cents, she bet me to put on a girl's bikini and big old 70s sunglasses and go down to the mailbox to get the mail. Easy bet. See, our house was on a big hill and it had about 20 steps going down to the street. When you got to the bottom of the street, you could look at the end of each side. There is no hiding. So I put on that bikini, I put on those sunglasses, and I went down and I got the mail. And I ran back up as fast as I could, only to find the door was locked. My sisters had locked me out, standing there in a girl's bikini. While the story sounds cute and just kids being kids, the reality is I was mad. Now, I tell this story not to make my sisters look bad. I was a very willing participant in activities like this every day. What I realize now is I was the one who put myself at the bottom of the pecking order. It was my view of me and my fear of being excluded that caused me to do whatever it took to be included. I was the one who created the feeling of being excluded. I created a pecking order that didn't actually exist, except in my mind. Look at your life. Do you see where you diminish yourself, put yourself at the bottom of the pecking order, maybe act like a chicken? I know. Today, at the gym, when you saw that perfect person with the perfect body, were you a chicken? When your neighbor pulled in with a brand new car in your car, yeah, isn't brand new, were you a chicken? When your siblings were better than you at everything, were you a chicken? We believe the pecking order and where we place ourselves in it to be true, but it's not. Don't be a chicken. Chickens don't have a choice where they place themselves on the pecking order, but you do. You are not a chicken. And recognizing when you're being a chicken is the first step. You can be free of this imaginary pecking order by either stepping up or stepping out. You can step up by determining where you rank yourself on the pecking order. Or you can step out and realize the pecking order doesn't even exist except in your mind. Sadhguru, who's an Indian wise man, described comparison as a sickness where we feel better when others are doing worse than us. He taught his daughter there's only one lesson that she needed to know in life. Never look up at anyone and never look down on anyone. Because when you compare, you miss life. Stepping out of the pecking order has you looking at life and yourself and others as they really are. Now, I experienced the power of stepping out of the pecking order when I was recently at a meeting with the CEO and executives of a major company. Just like the first meeting I told you about, I normally would have acted like Q-tip, intimidated, hiding in the corner, putting myself at the bottom of the pecking order. After all, I'm just a salesman. Who am I to be with them? But instead, I did something different. I chose to step out of the pecking order and not compare myself, which I know is easier said than done. This time, when I walked in, I reminded myself that these are just people, just like me, who, as the saying goes, put their pants on one leg at a time. I chose not to compare myself and just be me. I chose to be me. And in doing so, I was finally able to be free of the pecking order. It was so refreshing to deal with people just as they are and not compare. Stepping up and stepping out begins and ends with recognizing your own self-worth and not comparing yourself to anyone else. Don't be a chicken. Thank you.